Moving on to those during reading strategies, we have 6, maybe even 7 strategies that happen during the story. So the first one is monitoring and repairing. And I put these together because they go hand in hand. This is where, as you read, you're thinking about the text, and you're thinking about what you're reading either in your head or out loud, and you're making sure that it makes sense. And you're making sure that you understand it. And if you don't understand it or it doesn't make sense, you go back and you fix it or you reread it to clarify. Last week we learned about decoding, where boys and girls have to figure out the words on the page. And self-monitoring is one of those things that good readers do. If they guess a word that they don't know and it doesn't make sense or it doesn't look right, they need to go back and fix it. And that's what monitoring repairing is. It's also, and we've all done this, have you read a page of a book and gotten to the end of the page and thought, I have no idea what that just said? If you have those moments where you didn't understand or you can't remember, you have to go back, and that's what good readers do. The next strategy during reading is connecting. And this is one of the first strategies we work with young learners, even those preschoolers. And this is where we want them to take what they're reading and make connections to it. Now there's 3 kinds of connections. The first one is called text to self. And this is where students make personal connections to the book and their own life. Now, when they're little, young readers will make connections to very basic things. Oh my goodness, the girl in the story has a dog. I have a dog. Those things are connected. But as we teach boys and girls how to make quality connections, we want to connect less to how the characters and the events in the story are at face value and look deeper, so we can understand the characters' feelings, we can understand what it felt like to be in a certain situation. Those are our deeper text-to-self connections. The next type of connection is called a text-to-text connection, and this is where we're connecting what happens in one story to another story. Now, we do this all the time when we talk about similar versions of stories. So we read the story that was the version of the 3 bears, and it was Goldilocks and the 3 pandas. So in that book, we could make a lot of great text-to-text connections. And again, young learners can do this. They also can make connections that are similar to text-to-text, and those are text-to-media. So videos they've seen about similar stories also make good connections that are similar. The last kind of connection is a text-to-world connection. And this is where we look at the world around us, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our towns, in the news, and what are some things in our stories that relate to that. So connecting is a very basic, easy, fun strategy. It draws our readers and our listeners into the book because they're similar. In our early grades, you may see in pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, teachers giving boys and girls a symbol for connecting. And usually the symbol looks like the hang loose from Hawaii, where you have your pinky finger hanging out and you have your thumb hanging out and your 3 fingers in the middle are folded over. And what they do is they take that and they point at themselves with their thumb, and then they point at you as the reader with their pinky finger, and they move it back and forth like a seesaw. And that connection symbol is really common because what happens in pre-K and kindergarten and first grade classrooms, when they learn that they're allowed to have a connection to a book, they will interrupt you the whole way through the story to share because they're so excited. Oh my goodness, in the story they went to an amusement park. I rode a roller coaster at an amusement park. And then they'll all jump in, and you'll never get through your story. And so what we have here is teachers giving boys and girls this signal, and that way they can give the signal during the story, and you can wait to the end to have them share their connections. All right, our third during reading strategy is questioning. And we talked about questioning earlier, but this is, as we read, we want boys and girls to wonder. I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder why that character did that. Oh, I wonder if this is going to be a problem in the story. So getting them wondering is how that questioning strategy continues throughout the book. Our fourth during reading strategy is visualizing, and this is where we make pictures in our heads, and those images help us remember. And so we do sometimes need to pause and have boys and girls stop and make a picture in their head. I personally am a visual learner. I can do this so well, and it does help me remember, but some kiddos have a really hard time putting pictures in their heads, and sometimes I allow them to draw their visions, and they don't always have to just imagine them. The fifth strategy is determining importance, and this is basically finding main idea and supporting details, but this is where students figure out what are known as the big ideas in what they're reading, and they can use those big ideas later on to remember for their summary. The last strategy is inferring, and when we make inferences, we are reading between the lines. Whenever you've told a joke to someone, or if you see someone on the street and they're crying, you have to figure things out. You have to piece together what's in your brain and what the text is telling you and what you've encountered in a situation that you're reading about. And that piecing together of clues and your personal knowledge to figure out the meaning of the story is called inferring. This is one of our higher level comprehension skills. Our kindergartners, our pre-K kiddos, and even some of our first graders are very literal, and they have a lot of trouble inferring. They just can't figure it out. So it's something that you'll work on very explicitly with them, and you might start outside of text and infer other things, very simple things, and then move on to putting it into text, and then this will evolve as a skill that they will learn. At the bottom, there are 5 videos. I do not have a video for questioning because we've already watched that, but watch the video on monitoring, repairing, connecting, visualizing, determining importance, and inferring, so you understand what it looks like in a classroom when you're incorporating these strategies into your lesson.